All right, man. What's up? What's going on?
I'm, I'm chilling, man. I like the shirt, man. I like the shirt a
Oh,
lot.
thanks, man. Are you a Prince fan?
I'm from Minneapolis, so born and raised. My mother grew up with him, so I got a few stories about Prince. So it's pretty cool.
That's what's up. Yeah. Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's a lot of musical talent from Minneapolis, honestly.
Amazing, because it's people don't even realize it. From rock to pop to R&B, everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Every time I meet somebody from Minneapolis or just Minnesota in general, like they're always super talented. I'm like, what's in the water there, man? What are y'all drinking? But
I think people hibernate in the winter because it gets really cold, and they just work on their craft. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there's you be in the house and you're trying to find something to do to be creative. Cats pick up an instrument or work on their vocals or something.
no wonder that's what it is. Oh man, see. Do you guys got any like major theme parks or anything like activities out there that?
Yeah, of course. So we have like the biggest Mall of America. We
That's
have
right.
Valley Fair, which is kind of like, I guess, Six Flags, I guess you would say. So there's a lot of dope stuff to do.
Nice, nice. Well, so you got some stuff going on now, man. I mean, I want to talk about that stuff, but I want to talk about like some musical things,
Okay.
like the group Next, you know what I mean? I really like the group, man. I really like your guys' songs. It really influenced like my youth and stuff like that.
I
Um,
appreciate that, man.
yeah, yes. So your song, you guys kind of had like a viral hit, like on it, like it's kind of funny how it happened with the whole. It was like a meme. The guy, baby, why you cry?
Yeah, he did the Why You Always Lying.
Why you always like? There we go. There we go. How did you guys feel like when that came back around like that?
Well, being the writer of the record, at first I didn't know how to feel because I was like, is he trying to like is it like a gaggy joking? When it comes to artistry for an artist, it's like you kind of hold that sacred. But then I met him. I ended up doing MTV with him with Charlemagne and things like that. And literally in April for my birthday, he came on my Zoom party. So it's like my advice to him was, man, you're actually funny. Don't let just this one, viral thing define you. Um, the only thing that kind of, I can't say bothered me, because even if it bothers me for a minute, being blessed with publishing checks and stuff like that, it always kind of takes any type of anger or issue away. People would say stuff like, "Oh, he made your song popping again or relevant again," and I don't be wanting to flex. I don't want to flex, but on the inside, my mind is like, man, that record still plays like everywhere. Like,
Yeah,
I don't have
right.
much to sit and flex on, but I'm kind of good with too close. But I wasn't in my feelings per se because he did it. I didn't really understand the viral thing per se, but more credit to him. He was like, "Man, I love the record. It was always playing." I was like, "Always? That's a blessing." He's like, "I was leaving the club one day and I just started changing the words and it was funny." He was like, boom. So for me, it came from a place of love and respect. So anytime it comes from that, I want to see anybody blessed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like you said, like that song still plays in the clubs today. Like, well, obviously not
Man.
during quarantine and all that, but like for the past whatever years, I mean last year they're still playing it prime time in the club, like big clubs.
But see,
So,
what's funny is that's what any artist really wants. You want your discography and your musical lineage to carry on beyond just your generation. My cousin is Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind and Fire. So I always said, okay, I want records like that. I want, it's gonna get to the point where I'm gonna be wearing the little funny little Moses sandals barbecuing at somebody, at my son's house or my daughter's house. And I want my joints to be playing at the family reunions and skating rinks and stuff like that. I can't always be, young. I can be young in spirit, but I'm 43 now. So I'm embracing that role of an OG. So having music that lasts, generations is something that I'm probably most proud of. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's really hard to catch one of those records, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think I know my boy, he has like a record that kind of passed over to, that kind of being able to be played a lot, but like you cannot catch one of those records anymore, man. Like even the viral hits today, I mean, they're like gone in like, 6 months to a year.
But that's why I feel sorry for a lot of the newer artists, because I ask, what will they be singing in 10 years that they're singing now? Not saying there won't be any, because there's a bunch of talent, but because of the way music is consumed now, it's going to be a lot harder to have quote unquote classics. Now you'll be able to climb the charts, make a boatload of money quick. And after that, though, the attention span for a lot of these records is like, okay, we heard that. What's next? So I'm hoping that somehow it evolves into something closer to what it was when it comes to music and songs for artists, because truthfully, publishing and recurring records and airplay is really what artists hang their hats on in the end, because you're not always going to be able to run across the stage and do backflips and slow grind and all that. I'm hoping, but in the end, you just want to relax and ride off into the sunset with your music still playing somewhere in some place that you've never been, but getting checks for it.
Right. Yeah. Because what do you think? Like, how do you think some of these artists feel about that? Because I mean, on one hand, you got like artists that are trying to just get the bag real quick, and they're happy having a pretty big viral hit. They don't really care about like the longevity and all that stuff. So like in your era, like compared to now, did you kind of care more about like the longevity of your records, or were you just in the moment creating? Like, did you even think about that, or?
All I thought about was getting out of my mama house. You know what I'm saying? And proving people wrong that said I would never make it. You know what I mean? Like that's the field that I always really held on to. We were hopeful that, we could make a living from doing it. I didn't even understand publishing. I didn't know that, okay, if you, write these records and all of a sudden they come out, you can eat basically forever, but that's the blessing of it. I think that when you go into it with the purest of intentions of just creating great work, that those things just happen. But for the newer artists, it's hard because like, I think it's more about aligning yourself with corporations and finding other bags you can get right now. You know what I mean? So it's a different kind of money. To be honest, it's generational money. You're throwing around a lot more money in other ways. For us, we were having a big $500,000-$600,000 video budgets, but now they're getting that kind of bag from wearing this sneaker or selling this brand. So there's other creative ways to get the bag, but I'm big on residuals. There are certain artists that they've sold so many records and they have certain songs that will play, but truthfully, it's not even on the artist or the music. It's really about the generation. Luckily for us, generations before us and after us seem to like a lot of, the classics. So that's cool. It's just the attention span of the newer consumer that's scary for the newer artists.
I agree. I mean, luckily, you had success early on. And so for the people that are like, that might be watching and doing music, like you're pretty much still getting paid off these older songs still today, right? Like the checks haven't stopped coming, right?
Not at all. Sometimes they're even more, you know what I mean? Which is the blessing. And for me and for us, I say, a lot of our fan base don't put us on the same level of our counterparts from our era, but we were more pop. Like Clive Davis said, okay, they want you on TRL, we're never looking back. And for us, we from the hood, we still wanted that BET love, but truthfully, a lot of our audience ended up coming from the pop route. That's why you catch us in Australia and London and things like that, which is a blessing in some ways because the urban market is super fickle. They have the cancel culture and you can say the wrong thing and all of a sudden it's a wrap for you and they're coming for your head. So if you don't have that other audience, you're done.
So do you think if Next came out in this era, would it have the same success?
I would hope so because of the talent, but I also know that being able to write a record like Too Close and go over people's heads with the subject matter, I think now with, certain movements and things that are going on, you have to be super delicate with a lot of the things you say. I know that I do say that I feel sorry for the artists today because a lot of the artists from my era if there were camera phones and social media out then like it is now, we'd all be in jail or hated like more than some of us already are. So there's a bigger spotlight and a lot more responsibility on these newer artists, yet they don't have artist development, so they're just winging it. So some of them are doing really well. Some of them just say stuff and all of a sudden it goes viral and they go, you know what? I got a lot of bad press, but I sell records because of this. I got more streams. Keep it up.
Right. Yeah, because so what were you talking about in Too Close, man? Like what was the real subject matter here, man? I gotta know.
So me and Tweet, we were staying at one of the executives from our label's crib for some reason. Like we were all like family because KG, from Naughty by Nature discovered us, but it was a lady named Charm Warren that ran his company. And we were staying at her crib and we like had snuck some girls over or something, but we used to go to a hood club in Jersey, like Orange, New Jersey, called the Peppermint Lounge. I wasn't even old enough to get in, but we would notice girls like dancing up on dudes. And we always loved, we came from the era where, closer to the end of the night, they started playing Jodeci and H-Town and all the slow songs. So you could grind. It wasn't about standing on the wall. We was getting sweaty and, trying to get our freak on. And the girls told us, yeah, we do that because we want to see what y'all working with. So instantly, as writers, we were like, word? And I never liked up-tempo records. I hated up-tempo R&B because all I wanted to make was sex tapes. Like make a little tape, have girls come over, Only up-tempos I liked were probably because of the feature or the sample they used. There's a rapper on there or something like that. I never really liked clubs like that. So I couldn't write a record. I'm in the club having bottles. That wasn't my thing. So I was like, how can I take mid to slow jam subject matter and put it on an up-tempo beat? So we started talking about, really getting hard on the dance floor, but it was really just getting hard from grinding per se. So it's talking about basically a boner, but in a cool way where it's like, not like the creepy uncle, but like, yo, we dancing and yeah, you did that. You
Right.
feel that. Now, if you really want to feel that, we can leave right now. So yeah.
It's like the most simplest, purest form of like, but a complex, fully drawn out song. I love it, man. It's like, that's pretty much what life's about.
It's subject matter. When you can have a subject matter that is generational in the sense of, I don't care what, there's going to be a dude that's 19, 20, 21 going out dancing and he's going to be excited from a pretty girl and he's going to be looking at how she moves seductively and he's not going to be able to control it. It's a wrap. So subject matter is important. When you can have certain subject matter that is always going to happen and come up, I think that's the key to a lot of timeless music.
I agree. Speaking of timeless music, I think this is a really good thing to ask you because you're from a different generation of music coming up. Now it's completely different. Like the sound changes every 3 months. It's just something new all the time. How do you feel coming from such a real musical generation now in a time of like disposable music? I'm not going to talk bad about the music today. I really like the music of today. I'm in that generation, but
right.
Someone like yourself, you're a real vocalist. You're a true vocalist. You can really sing.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, but how does that make you feel? Because you know what? I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of people like 35, 40 plus, they hate on all the new stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but I think that's just a defense mechanism. And I never wanted to be that guy that's like, man, y'all youngsters, in my day, I walked 5 miles to school. Nah, I think there's a lot of talented kids. I do think that it all falls on radio and it all falls on labels. And what I mean by that is the only difference I feel, because a lot of these kids are super talented. The difference is some of them get put on before they even refine their talent the way it needs to be. So, but who's mad at that? If you hit a lick and you went viral, or you got a record that made it on TikTok and everybody's singing it, and all of a sudden you get put on and somebody offers you a check, what you gonna say? No, I'm not ready yet. I'm not seasoned enough. No, you're not. You're gonna get it. So I'm not mad at that. The problem is now I've been in meetings myself, and the first question I used to hear is, "Let me hear a record. You got to hit record. You give me a hit, I can make a number one." The question now is, what's your social media following like? What's your social media presence? They don't even care about the record. a lot of them wouldn't know a hit anyway because they're not real music people. And that's not a dig. Um, I think there's a bunch of talent. Like I like Lucky Day. Yeah, her, I love her, but I love like Tiffany Gaucher. She's from the Bay Area. I like PJ. She's super dope, but she used to be signed to Hit Boy. I think there's a bunch of great music. The problem is because it's so easy to find a studio or create one that you can just push music out. Where if it's not hot, okay, we'll do another one tomorrow. Where with us, we would simmer with it, and it took time to create it and revisit it and go, you know what? Okay, I got tracks in my computer right now, or songs that have 5 different tracks to them. Where I was like, no, that's not it. Where I think that the younger generation is like, hey, content. It's about content more than it is about really creating a masterpiece. But I can't be mad at that because the public consumption and how it's gotten to people now, they just want something new. They're really like, okay, yeah, we love that new Drake video that they probably spent $1 billion on at Nike. That's dope. But in 2 weeks, they're like, when the next Drake coming out? It used to be you could put out a single and that lasts you a couple of months. You good.
Right.
And now for the new generation, it's like they have to keep putting out content. And what if they don't sit in the studio and they create all the time? What if they're not artists? Because I hate when people say this recording artist. Most of these cats are really performers or singers. An artist means you could put me in the studio and close the door with a blank canvas and you walk back in and there's a picture like that one behind you. I should be able to draw everything and you have a full scope of what you need. I think that we misdiagnose cats as artists when they're really not. So that means you got to wait for the writer. You got to get the producer. You got to find the image. So you're trying to rush records out. You're working with the wrong person, and the music isn't right. So I think that that's not totally on the artist's fault. They're just trying to supply. It's like a drug dealer. This might be mid. This ain't that fire. And I don't smoke, but I know it's that mid. But they coming. You got to get it. They want some more. It's the same thing with music.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of it's somewhat of the audience's fault in a sense because they keep wanting more. So it kind of falls under the artist to keep creating this content so much, and it's almost overwhelming with so many people creating so much content. But as far as the sound, I think I like the sound of it though. It just feels bad to kind of like, get attached to kind of an artist, and then next there's another artist you got to get attached to, and then it's a lot. It's pretty overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie.
But a lot of times they're emulating one another. So I'm looking for the new. Like I would compare it to like when Justin Timberlake would come out, and he would come out with a project and it would sound like something you never heard. I think that's what was so dope about Timberland, and still is. He would go, I'm just gonna make up a sound. And when you find true artists that are taking a chance to go, listen to this, you never heard anything like this. I think that's super dope.
So you have kids. Do you kind of feel like you like what your kids are listening to? Like, do you kind of shut it down? Like, oh, I don't like that 808 beat, or because you said you're not really an up-tempo person, kind of a lot of this music. Well, up-tempo to me is like a fast BPM, like, that's kind of up-tempo to me. I don't know.
Right.
It's funny, like someone from the South said a song I was listening to was up-tempo. I'm like, this is just regular 95 BPM, which is like a West Coast.
Yeah, but it's no, but let me tell you something. What's funny is I learned to like up-tempo because I was a rapper first. So me writing up-tempos was easy. So that's why I was able to write like Just in Case for Jaheim, whatever for Ideal, and with Too Close and Wifey, things like that. It was easy for me because I'm rapping on the beat. It was just finding a dope subject and things like that. But my son is 24. So my daughter's like 3, and she was singing Bougie, Classies, all this stuff, right? It was funny to me. But what she doesn't know is Dad has a record with a friend of mine, Mickey, that's with Meg Thee Stallion. We've been sitting on this, getting ready to come out. So it's like, I love being in tune with what's now and being able to apply it to what I have, because I do think there is a fine line between sounding dated and trying to sound young. I still
Mm.
think I'm fly. 43 to me isn't old, but I feel like I'm an OG because of what I've been through. But I can apply some of those same sonic things that they do today. I think what's dope about today is the technology. Back then, you'd have to have 100 keyboards to get a lot of these sounds you have now. Now it's plugins, which I've learned, you know, from being around producer friends. I produce now a little bit. So I think that now it's easy. You can download something. Before you had to go to the record store and get it, or have them ship you a keyboard. Now all the sounds, all the effects, everything you need, the sound is much cleaner. It's digital. So I think there are certain advantages to the music of today. And since you have these sounds, there's ways now digitally that you can manipulate sounds, whether it's a sample, whether it's an instrument, things that we never could do. That's so amazing. So I embrace these geniuses that are younger, and I'm listening to what they're doing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip it the way I would do it and use my same harmonies, arrangements, my riffs, but I'm going to add this little bit of this because they do the same thing with us. They sample certain things from us. You know what I mean?
Right, that's
And
true.
so we should be able to do the same. I think that nobody's recreating the wheel. Can you enhance it and make it roll a little different? Switch the rim? Yeah, but it's the same tire.
You know the craziest thing about old music and new music? It's literally the only thing different is like the drums. If you think about it, I was
The
kind of thinking
hi-hats, they
about that.
usually be like the hi-hats.
Yeah, like exact, like that's really the only differentiating factor. Like it's really the hi-hats and the percussion of the track is different, but like the melodies from like a Too Close type song with new
Yeah.
drums over it is completely different. But yeah, well, I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on that. You said, you know, trying to sound younger, but I forgot what you said. But that was
I said it's a super fine line between sounding dated or trying to sound too young. I feel like, um, okay, somebody asked me, they was like, yo, you could do another Too Close and blah, blah. And I said, no, I can't. They were like, why? I said, I have a 10, club banger. And Chris Brown has a 7, 7.5. What is the DJ gonna play? RL or Chris Brown? I can't compete with Chris, and I love Chris. I've known him, quite some time. I think he's one of the most talented people ever. But they're not going to play me, so why would I try to go in that lane and do that? But at the same time, if you listen to, and I hate the word old school because when they talk about pop music, they say classic, and I always say this with what a classic car is: clean it up, all original parts. With old school, you got to put candy paint, switches, rims. I don't need nothing extra. So I consider myself a classic. I think these songs that people play are classics. So I understand they say throwback and all that. That's cool. But I always say classic. But I do feel like I just feel like with the music, if you listen to radio, these old school stations, and again, I don't really like that word, but the only new music besides Tank, and I love Tank, but besides him that you're gonna hear on an old school station is new music that still sounds dated. Like if you really think about it, it's gonna be an artist from my generation or older, and it's gonna have this, it's gonna sound just like the records from back then. So when you have artists like the 112s, and Jagged just dropped an amazing new project that have still a little bit of now infused with what we are, because we're still at that age where I can still pull up to the club in my whip and really drive off with something if I want to. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And it'd be okay. It won't be, look, grandpa here. It won't be that. I'm not yet in my linen suit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So we're kind of at a no man's land where newer radio is going to play pretty much the same 5 to 10 songs anyway of the most popular artists, which is cool. But for us, we don't really have a place yet. We don't have a place to get our, and we're still trying to learn that in this new media driven, era of music. So, and it's not even a complaint because we'll continue to do our concerts, sold out shows at these theaters and smaller arenas and sing these same songs over and over again until we figure it out. But I know that there are a lot of great artists from my era that have a bunch of new, Avant, a bunch of new music that Donnell Jones, all these artists with so much talent, but we just don't have a way to get it to the consumer. So that's my only thing. You know, we're stuck in no man's land. So we could try to come sounding young. I remember being like in my late teens and I heard a Freddie Jackson record. I listened to it with my mom growing up. All of a sudden I heard a rapper come on and I was like, what in the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would he do it? And it stuck with me to where I'm like, when I get older, you know, I don't want to say, well, let me go put this artist on this record because he's hot right now. If it doesn't fit my image or anything like that, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you know, honestly though, I remember you guys. I remember Next actually put a song out a few like 5 years ago, "Leaving with Me." You remember that one?
You know what? I wasn't. I don't think I was on it.
Okay, well,
I think that was when I was out of the group and they had a new member. But I know what you're talking about.
okay, yeah. Well, it was like the group attempting to make like a younger sounding song, and it actually it did okay on like the RnBass platform. I posted it. It did cool, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about though. Like, trying to recreate the young sound, being an older artist, and then it just something sounds a little off because maybe some of the hi-hats are wrong and just this little.
But that's why you have to stay in tune with your audience. And but the truth is that same audience is listening to the newer music. But I think that they try to, especially with urban music, they put you in a box.
Yeah.
You know, they'll say, okay, we keep doing what you've done. We don't want to hear anything new. When truthfully, I think that there are a lot of artists that have so much more to offer. I look at like the Rolling Stones and U2 and all these pop acts that continuously come out with music, and their audience supports them because it's dope. With a lot of urban artists, I do feel like, and again, this isn't a swan song, this isn't a woe is me, it's just a fact that I see a bunch of incredible acts, my counterparts, that have great music and are super talented, but you'll never hear the music. It'll come out, it won't be promoted the way it was supposed to be, it won't be marketed, and you won't hear it.
I wonder why that is. Like, I wonder why in the urban audience we dispose of people so fast. Like, oh yeah,
it's the Ciroc mentality. We have a Ciroc mentality. It's just we always, to me, my opinion is we always felt like, okay, it's about how it looks and not necessarily how it is. I think that I look at Whitney and people laughed about her addiction and her demons, but then we're crying at her wedding. I mean, not at her wedding, at her funeral. Excuse me, forgive me, Lord. I don't know why I said wedding, but at her funeral, I think that we should give flowers now. That's why when I see my counterparts, or even if I'm doing an interview, I'm bigging up everybody else because I don't want to see something happen to somebody and be filled with regret. You know what I mean? I think that people should give props now while these artists are still here.
No, I agree with you. I was saying the same thing about some of like the Nipseys and stuff. Like, why not? Why show him so much love now when he was alive? His music was fire. It was always fire. And it's like, man, people got to show love now. But It's like you can't really tell the general population what to do. They're just gonna do what they do, and they're gonna like what they like.
Right.
And it's like you said, like in the urban community, the urban music and stuff, I feel like it's just kind of like it kind of coincides with how social media is. It's because social media is so fast, and Instagram stories, 10, 16 seconds, and then watching a video real quick and you scroll. It just kind of like coincides with music. It's like, okay, you listen to this artist and then you go to the next one, listen 30 seconds of this song, and will it ever change? I don't know. But, you've had more experience in the longevity of music. You've seen it, expand and stuff from a different perspective. And I respect that. And I respect the fact that, your song, like I said, I'm going to say it again, it's so hard to get a song that still can play in a club. Like, come on, you know what I mean? But as far as that stuff, so tell me, like, what's your goal right now? What are you working on, and like, what's the next 10 years looking like?
For me, like, okay, me and my partner B Flat, we write and produce for other artists as well. We did the Pull Up joint. We wrote and produced that for Lil Duval and Ty Dolla $ign.
Nice.
I have my EP dropping. Well, first the EP is gonna drop first. It's called The Letter J. We just shot the video last night, and what's funny, and you talked about the short attention span because of social media. I started a company called Simple 60. So the music videos that we put out are going to be 60 seconds. Because
Mhm.
truthfully, the attention span of viewers really is that or less. And people are gonna repost something they like. You can't repost a video that's more than 60 seconds. You got to hit the button to go to IGTV now or something like that, and it messes the game up. And I'm so confident in the music that after 20, 30 seconds, I think you're gonna want to go stream it anyway. I look at it like the grocery store on Saturdays. Why do they have out samples? Because they know that you're bringing your bad kid with you to get groceries, and they're gonna want to taste it. And if the kid likes it, mommy, 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 you got to go right to that next aisle and grab it. I feel that's how it is with my music. If it's dope enough, which I'm confident it is, that after hearing a minute of this record, you're gonna want to go find it on YouTube or stream it somewhere to make sure that you hear the rest of it because you like it. So I sampled John B, 2 Jodeci records, and a Janet Jackson record. We shot the video for the Janet joint. And what's so dope is uh, PJ Budd, a legendary DJ from LA, played the record 5 times back to back on his show. And Jimmy Jam was listening, who produced the original Janet record.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm from Minneapolis, you know what I'm saying? He's the OG. We did the Best Man record together with Tyrese, Genuine Case. They produced it, Jimmy and Terry produced it. He DM'd me and was like, I'm proud of you, sounding good. So when you get, I'm the baby OG. He's the OG. And
Right.
for him to let me know I was doing something right was like the best gift in the world. So we got the EP. Well, I got the EP coming out, but also KG from Naughty by Nature, who discovered us, hit me one day and was like, yo, I want to do this project. And I didn't plan on doing any more next music. We were going to just be a touring mechanism. You know what I'm saying? If God had anything else in store, that's cool. But at this point, it was like, let's do shows. He said he wanted to do a project, so we got a Next by Nature project coming out, and that's almost done. So it's Next and Naughty by Nature, which is gonna be super fun. We got the first single; it's called "We Like." I'm excited about that. COVID slowed things down, but if you're self-contained, like I'm looking at the door to my studio right now. I record and engineer myself. So if you're self-contained, then there's nothing you can't do. This is really the time where you're supposed to really get in tune with finding things and ways to become better, whether it's a father, daughter, mom, cook, whatever it is, just
Right.
really working on yourself. So that's all we've been doing. So I have that. I have an Afro Beats album that I'm gonna put on Africa. I call it Afro Sheets. So
Wow.
it's like sexy. I produce most of that myself. We got a youngster named Tylen. He had a record that we did. I was able to write a rap for Ronnie from Belle Biv DeVoe from New Edition, and we flipped If It Isn't Love because it was he's 17. It was his mother's favorite record, or her favorite group was New Edition. We did that. It went top 30 Billboard. Now we have the second single he just shot the video for called Yeah Yeah. Just a bunch of stuff going on, man. Just always continue trying to grow, because I think that people think being in front of the camera is where all the lucrative opportunities are. And truthfully, yeah, I want that. I want all that. I want it all. I mean, I'll sing happy birthday at a funeral right now. I want to check. I don't care. I want my legacy to be about me providing and leaving a legacy for my children and my family. But I don't think people understand behind the scenes how you can really grind and get things done. I mean, do I want to be back in doing what I do and what I think God created me to do? Of course. But I think that I was created to do a bunch of different things, man.
Oh yeah, of course, and I don't think anyone's gonna constrain you to only doing something like
I
one.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. And like I said, man, I really like all your music. I checked out the new song soon. It sounds good. I like the
Appreciate it.
whole positivity thing. I like all that.
So you know what's funny is you heard "You Are," the new single that we have now is called "Get to You." I'll make sure Ree and everybody gets it to you. It's we sampled Janet, so it's 4 records. It's called the letter J because every artist I sampled name start with J. John B. Janet, 2 Jodeci records. So it's done. We're just mastering it right now. You Are was a record I wrote for my daughter, which I love. And I wanted to do something super uplifting because all the years of me being mannish and doing my sexual records, I felt like, people never got to hear the album cuts where I was, really bigging up women the way I was raised. So once my daughter was born, I looked at her one day and I realized she listens to my music and she's really influenced by it. And I wanted to give her a gift of a record. So I went in my studio and created You Are.
That's cool, man. I was thinking in my head, like, I wonder, theoretically, how many kids were born off your music. Like, I mean, like, give me a rough ballpark estimate of how many kids you think are in the world right now that were born to your music, like at whatever age.
It's hard because you hope that you've influenced people, and there was something they put on when they were doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Um, you have people walk up to you like, yeah, man, I had my kids here. I blame y'all for my blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to be honest. My thing is I have no diaper money. I have no child support for you, okay? That's your fault. So I'm happy that we, could be the soundtrack to certain people's lives, because that's what you pray for. You want I'll say this. I grew up, north side of Minneapolis, literally 2 blocks from Prince's mother's house. And I knew that he used to be at my grandmother's house, knew my mom and my uncle, like they literally like grew up together.
Wow.
And I would hear people all over the city saying stuff like, yeah, I went to school with Prince, and my parents went to school with Prince, and blah, blah. So I dreamt of one day people telling their kids that they grew up with me, because I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And I know that they do that now. So that was one of the things, like, regardless of, you want success, yeah, you want the riches, and you want, I'm blessed. I got a nice home, great family. But that was the one thing I used to say when kids would tease me. Like, one day y'all gonna tell y'all kids y'all went to school with me. And it happened.
Yeah, it really did happen. Oh man. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, that was a nice, quick little, I'm really
Well,
glad
man,
you joined me today.
I want you to know I appreciate you. Like, honestly, 23 years in, man. You put me on your platform to talk to me right now. We had the technical difficulties in the beginning and everything, man, and you stuck with it. Man, I really, really appreciate you, bro. I really do, man. Thank you so much, man.
Man, no problem, man. Like I said, man, I always pay forward for, the music that put me on and put me on the stuff. And that's been, like I said, a childhood, song for me. And like I say, you're a dope artist, and hey, it's
Thanks,
all
man.
good, man. So yeah, anything you want to leave with on this interview? Anything you want to say?
Man, I just want to say, man, I always try to keep it positive. There's not an ounce of ego, because when you've been blessed the way artists like myself have been blessed and been able to be in this game this long, our lifespan is really short usually. And to be able to continue, I don't care if an artist had half a hit. You hear a lot of people talking about, well, this artist, they had the little record. Listen, when you could get paid to do something that you would do for free, that is the best feeling in the world. So really embrace and show love to all these artists from yesteryear, I guess you would say, because it matters. If there's these moments like this, getting my flowers, it's an amazing feeling, man.
Yeah, it is. It is the littlest things like this. All right, man. Well, yo, have a good day. Thank you for
You too,
joining
man.
me.
Thank you.
It's RnBass. You already know it's